Call the meeting to order. First up is to approve the minutes from January 7th, 2013. Entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
And second.
Any discussion, amendments to offer? They look good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from
These are February 7th here.
is that the date for today or?
Did I not change the date?
January 7th.
Yeah, also I have the wrong dates on top of the minutes. February 7th and January. I mean February 14th.
February 14th, right?
Yeah, last week.
But on the agenda it's January.
Oh.
That would be your.
Don't confuse me.
So this is supposed to say January here.
No.
It's supposed to be said
No, that's
February.
right.
Those are February.
Both
The
set.
agenda's
No.
February on
The
the...
agenda's wrong, that's fine.
Okay.
Approve the, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 14th.
So moved. February 14th.
Sorry.
Second.
Any amendments, discussions?
No.
All those in favor? Aye.
Don't ask.
Thank you. At last week's meeting, we had decided that we would, thank you, review the October 4th, 2012 sealed minutes.
Yeah.
I do have them here. Do we want to put this under new business on the agenda or old business on the agenda? Discuss it then?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. That brings us to public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to the police report. Carl?
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Okay. We assisted the fire company with the CO detector that went off. We had a lot of vehicle-related stuff, mostly due to the weather and snow and stuff. So we had a vehicle that went off the road on switchback way. 911 hang-up that turned out to be a misdial. We took a request by the Department of Transportation, New Hampshire, to have a vehicle towed that was parked close to the white line out by the Winnewetter Falls, and no concern that the plow trucks would hit it. And we were able to locate the owner though, and get a hold of him. Took a parking complaint of a car parked on the road, Carnage Road by the Winnewetter Hotel. Had a vehicle that had lost its brakes on Tin Mine Road, and just basically did what we could do to assist them until the tow company got there. There's a tractor trailer unit that was trying to get up Black Mountain Road. He got stuck, and he needed assistance backing down because there's a curve right for 44, and again, snowing. Took a complaint of a vehicle parked on Dundee. I think it was by the trailhead.
Oh.
Doublehead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is that letter that you got?
Motor vehicle accident at the intersection of North Hampshire Ridge, Jackson Highlands. A car couldn't stop and went through the stop sign. Three disabled motor vehicle in front of the town office building. The car broke down. Motor vehicle accident on Jackson Highlands. Took a parking complaint of vehicles parked on Cameron Drive. vehicle went into a drainage ditch on Wilson Road. We are dealing with a gentleman in town. We had an issue about 2 years ago with his dogs, took him to court. Kind of appears to start him back up again. Dogs have gotten out 3 times so far, and he's given 2 warnings, and the last time he was fined. Another complaint of loose dogs on Black Mountain Road. A motor vehicle accident where a parked car was hit, and whoever hit it left, didn't leave a note or anything. 2 false burglar alarms. We took a call for children playing on the road, just north of the village on 16. 911, another 911 hang up that was an accidental misdial. A 3-car motor vehicle accident up at the Dana Place Inn. Took a complaint from a town citizen in reference to our postmaster's attitude and behavior. Nothing we can do about that, but you know. Did a check on the welfare for Project Good Morning. Took a barking dog complaint up on Juniper Way. This is a vacation homeowner who came up and left the dog out on the deck, and it barked all day. Then when it happened the second day, the people complained then. So they were issued a fine. Somebody found a debit card and driver's license on a ski trail turned in. And we took a report of a raccoon that was acting a little funny. Rather not, it was gone on our arrival, but so.
Any questions? No comments?
Very good, pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, busy week?
Yeah, it's again, most of it was weather related, you know, and stuff, so, but yeah, a lot of people up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Mr. Henry?
Don't have much. Much at all. Oh, let's see. Lately, we've spent considerable amount of time in the fire station getting caught up on some truck stuff. Forestry truck and working on all the trucks, other than plowing.
Did you have a call the other day? Like earlier this week?
Yeah, we had a car accident up in the Notch. We had tree power lines up here at the one hill. Those have been the 2 latest calls, I think. As you guys probably well know, it seems like it's severe frost heave year this year with the weather. Roads are heaved really bad. I should have mentioned something while Carl was here. During the big storm last weekend, I guess it was, Sean deserves a huge thank you. He was big help during the storm, stayed the whole night with us. It was unbelievable amount of calls that he was on, so I don't want to just write something up for Sean. Pretty rare for PD to stay all night with us. So that was.
during emo?
What's that?
Was that during emo?
Yes. So that was huge, huge. We're going to try to get back in the habit of more often working 2 on and 2 off like we used to do, and so we don't have to, all 4 of us don't have to be here for 37 hours straight, which works fine. You know, 4 guys will work till like like 9 o'clock or something, and then 2 guys will stay till midnight. And then those 2 will go home and come in at like 4
I
or
was
5.
talking with Pat about that, I was a little
Yeah.
concerned.
Ain't much you can do about it. I mean,
No.
we got another big storm supposedly, maybe if it doesn't stay south coming this weekend, but we always used to do it that way, even when I was here in the early 90s. And I mean, sometimes you gotta stay all night, but we're gonna try to get in the habit more often of doing that, so that.
You get time for a decent break too, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we went in the fire station for a few hours.
yeah, that's what he said, but it's not really.
Yeah, but gotta do what you gotta do,
I know,
so.
it's tough.
I think that's all. I don't have much. It's that time, that time of year. Fire department, everything's pretty much normal as far as inspections are going. Red Fox seems to be up and operating, no problems there. Guess that's all I got, other than you guys got a copy of that nasty note from the lady that didn't like not being able to park in Dundee Road. Which I read that and I thought it was a little ridiculous, but I mean.
We have notices when you come into any entrance of the town, it says.
Yeah,
you know,
all
so-
the property lines have,
Right.
you don't,
We
You
should
go
take a
up-
picture of each one of those and send it to us and remind them what happened.
I don't understand why the sign even matters. You don't park on the side of Route 95 in the right of way. You don't do it on Route 128 in Massachusetts, and you don't do it on Route 16. So why would you do it on a town road? I mean, you can't fit that. So, I don't know, no big deal.
No, I didn't think it was worthy of really any response, so.
No. Has been a lot of cars parking illegally everywhere the last month. You know, either in the roads or down here, which we seem to have dealt with fine. Had a little bit, one of the calls that Carl was talking about, car that lost his brakes on tin mine. That was right in the middle of the storm and had to be towed, had to be moved, period. And we couldn't even get a tow truck because Mount Washington Valley come up, but they apparently don't have chains or anything, and they wouldn't go up the hill because it was a slippery storm anyway. And we couldn't get a truck, basically a tow truck, so we ended up basically pushing the car up the hill up into someone's driveway. Cruiser. So that was a little. But we got another storm coming, so.
Rest up.
I'm good.
Thanks, Jay.
Sure.
Thank you. Sir.
That brings us to a building permit to consider. Review that, John.
Yeah, these recommendations on the very top of that first page.
Being commercial, wouldn't that trigger an inspection anyways?
It triggers one with the state.
Yeah.
Estimate on the work?
It's under 10,000.
Oh, okay.
But it's commercial property.
Right.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
it's under 10,000, the state automatically gonna come in because it's commercial, or?
Well, it's up to the contractor to contact the state. The state, it's up to the state to get there.
Yeah.
That's how the process works, but,
Right.
you know, I would agree with you, Bob, that's, it's under $10,000, it's, it doesn't call for permits in the town of Jackson.
That's right.
Section 16 outlaws.
That's right.
I would recognize that, this process may make it a little bit more difficult for the commercial contractor to have time in the building, needing to wait for the state to get there for inspections, but, to me, that's another reason to argue for changing our current process.
Yeah. Yep. And we basically said we were gonna follow section 16, so.
So are we saying there's no permit required?
No permit.
John, you okay with that?
Yep.
Good to go. So no permit required.
You want me to notify them and just let them know that they do need to contact the state for the required commercial inspections?
Yeah, you can just inform them that, the contractors or homeowners required, or business owners required to contact the state for inspections.
Okay.
What happens in that process is that, the state basically has, well, I don't really know what exactly they do, but if they don't get there within 30 days, then the contractor's allowed to progress with the work, so.
Okay.
But you can just inform them that, they may be required to contact the state for inspections. Or at least contact the state at any rate. Next up, we have FEMA paperwork for balance of Hurricane Irene work for Dundee Road. We need signatures. All the paperwork complete and ready for this?
I believe that is the final
Hurrah.
thing. We had a meeting with Diane a couple months ago, and the FEMA people regarding whoever the guy that was working for FEMA last year wrote up the job as complete, and it wasn't complete. We still had the gravel and stuff to put down, so that is basically the gravel and stuff that was put down. So then we had a meeting with FEMA, and me and Diane told them what we thought was going on, and they said they were going to resubmit it to FEMA as try to get the payment, so I assume that's where it was left, and that's what it is. And that's about all I really know about it.
It seems like good news.
Whether or not we get it or not is another story,
But it looks like we
so that should be,
could be getting up to a little under $20,000 anyway.
yeah. And then once that's, if they pay that, then as far as FEMA's concerned, it's completed.
Closure. Yeah. Good.
Those first two pages that we went through, just above the blue, are the ones that we did.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure that it didn't need like initials somewhere or something like that too, but you think that's the only place it's going to be good. Only requires one signature, so I guess I'd entertain a motion to authorize me to sign the State of New Hampshire Homeland Security Emergency Management Project Completion Certification Report.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Jay, for facilitating that. Okay, it's, Next up, we have a tax abatement request from Clerk Jeanette Heidman for abatement. It's an incident where
Just the dollar.
this is the dollar. So rather than alter the deposit payment, which was applied incorrectly, request balance of the 2012 bill correctly as at $1 be abated. The town received the money, the payment was just applied incorrectly. So in order to make the paperwork a little easier, she's requesting me offer the abatement. So I entertain a motion to approve the abatement for map R17 31A W01. So moving the amount of $1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That brings us back to public comment. Does anybody have anything at this point? Hearing none, we'll move on. Under new business, we have a hiring process for the Office Administrative Assistant. Was today the final day for
I think it
applications
was
to be
yeah,
in?
today or tomorrow. How many do we have?
There's like 20.
20.
There were 15 and then 7 more came in today.
Really? Okay. I know you're expecting at least one more today. Total of 7, so we've got 20 letters of interest and resumes. Okay.
So we need to decide how the process is going to move forward from here. I guess what I'm going to recommend is that we, I think we should form a panel of 3 people, with 1 selectman representative and then 2 more representatives from the community at large to perform the interview process, and then for the panel to then whittle down that to 1 candidate that they would recommend to the Board of Selectmen for approval. And any volunteers to be the Selectmen's representative on that.
I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah, and that's, my recommendation for a process. I think that only 1 selectman should be involved, and we can come up with a couple of people who will be willing to serve the town in that capacity. I would see us culling through the applications. I don't see maybe recommending the top 5. I think it's probably going to be obvious who the top tier candidates are. I could see that as a function of the selectmen or not. I would also recommend that whoever comes recommended to the Board of Selectmen as the top candidate from the hiring committee, at least that 1 person has gone through 2 interviews. It may be that the hiring committee decides to put the top 2 or 3 candidates, who knows, through a second interview process. But I'm a big believer in at least who the eventual hire or recommendation turns out to be, going through a second interview process. And I think John's an excellent choice to serve on that hiring committee.
Bob, I agree that maybe the Board of Selectmen each of us should review all the applicants individually for that, and maybe present some of our recommendations to the panel anyway for reviewing further anyway. But I'll also say that whoever ends up the other two members on the panel should also probably review all of the the applicants
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
I mean, I guess we should just ask out to the community right now if anybody's interested in serving on that panel. Maybe we can get that request in e-news as well.
Yep.
To see if anyone wants to step forward to do that.
I think it would be a good idea if Ella has particular questions that she thinks each candidate should be asked, that she's consulted. And I would also think it would be add some integrity to the process to make sure that all candidates interviewed are asked a core set of questions that are the same. It's kind of a standard hiring committee practice. John, you're probably more aware of that than I am, but that way you get to gauge applicants and interviewees' responses to the same question.
So John, you want to take on getting the panel set and figure out the logistics on how you want to run through the process. And I guess if you have any questions or difficulties, you can run through Ella and she can get them to us. Ella?
There is a set of interview questions that Diane used when they went through the hiring process for my position. I don't know, some of those same questions might be pertinent to whoever takes that position too. I can get that out and you can look through it to see which ones.
That'd be helpful.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. So we're good to move forward with that. Do we want to see any kind of time frame that we're looking to get to on this? I mean, I guess, John, if you don't have any traction within a week or so, maybe we should
We get to pull together within a week, I would think. Get a panel together within the week, I would hope.
Yeah.
It might take some effort on your part then, if we don't get anybody reaching out to us, for you to maybe reach out to some people to see if you can, if they'd be willing to serve.
We'll put it out in e-news for sure. Obviously, this is out there now. So.
Sounds good? We good there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings us on to electioneering. Did you all see the communication from Peter Malia regarding the email from Frank Benesh's attorney regarding the electioneering issue? I guess I was a little disappointed to see that it had been backdoored through our attorney and not come through us, as we had made a decision not to send it along to our attorney at this point in hopes of saving the town a little bit of money there. We did ask, Peter asked us if he wanted us to look into it, and I'm assuming we were all comfortable at this point that we didn't want him to further look into it.
I told him no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did prepare a response to Mr. Benesh's attorney, his concerns that you're welcome to review. I would actually like to go through them because it seems as though we may be heading to court on this one, so in hopes to perhaps avoid that, Frank's attorney had given the deadline of February 22nd to respond, and there is an alternative to necessarily going to court at this point. And I did want to go through this, point by point, and offer some counter arguments to what's there. If we don't mind, I wouldn't mind maybe going through this to at least start to set up the process, because if we go to court, we're going to have to obviously make some legal arguments to it and see if it's something that we do want to get Peter involved in. I did ask Peter at the email that he received from Frank Benesh's attorney had any confidentiality requirements, and he informed me that no, there was none. That there's no expectation of confidentiality from the email that he received from the attorney representing Frank Benesh. So what do we think? Do we want to go through this, or do we want to just hand it off to Peter? I mean, one of the solutions I was offering, I did talk to Bill Kelly about this. We could contact the Attorney General's office and request that either the Attorney General or an aide to the Attorney General meet us at the Whitney Center and go on site. And then you know, what we are bound to at this point anyway is right now it's up to the moderator to decide. The only other person who has authority over this is the Attorney General. And you know, short of actual ruling coming from the court, what do we think?
To request a representative of the Attorney General's office to come up and look and actually physically look at the site?
Yeah.
I think that would be a good start for sure.
I don't know what Mr. Benesh is planning. You know, he did say that, you know, what was his attorney's statement? I understand the select board might be a difficult one to convince to see the light on this issue, so it may very well be we are off to bother the court with this issue. That cannot be more clear cut, in my humble opinion. If you believe you can help your client avoid litigating this issue by providing my client with written assurance he can electioneer anywhere on school or town property outside a 10-foot wide corridor established under RSA 659-43, then my client will most likely be satisfied he will not need to engage the AG's office again. If you're unable to provide such assurance by Friday, February 22nd, 2013, my client and I will be off to court the next week to ensure this matter is heard before Election Day. And I guess, you know, one way either side of that, it would still probably make sense for us to request that a representative from the Attorney General's office come up and review the situation on site, regardless, I guess, of whether this is heading to court or not. On this paper here, my counter arguments are offered in the blue. Everything else was what was sent by Mr. Benesh's attorney. And I would recommend that we would send this to both the Attorney General and to Peter Malia to consider.
And just those two? Only those two?
I'd be happy to offer it to Frank Benesh as well.
I'd be cautious about that, given that this may end up in litigation.
Well, one reason for that is to, you know, at least he seems at this point to be open to the idea of avoiding litigation. I certainly wouldn't consider that at all by the terms he's offering, but at least to show to the court that we're making a good faith offer to, you know, to avoid that outcome. Although that's where it ends up, that's where it is, you know, ultimately the decision is made there. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just envisioning the day where this does end up in court. And I'm not sure that a prepared response from the selectmen would have been vetted to the point where we were all comfortable. I would just, you know, that's my concern. I think that first step is a good one to invite these representative of the Attorney General's office up here. I mean, we all looked at the letter that came from the Attorney General's office, and it said nothing about us being in violation. And so, you know, we made a decision. It wasn't the decision that Frank was happy with, but at the same time, I think given the public safety issues that could potentially crop up from being able to electioneer anywhere on school or town property outside of a 10-foot wide corridor could really pose some health and safety issues in my mind. at least to continue holding the elections at the recreation center. So, I mean, we've looked at this matter, we've weighed in on it, we studied the letter, we understand what it says and what it doesn't say. If that's a measured response that a citizen in this town is not happy with, then they have recourse. I don't see any reason to start the meter with Peter at this point. I don't know. John, what are your thoughts?
I'm in agreement with you. I think it's unfortunate that we're on such a time constraint. I mean, we're given the 22nd, today's the 21st. I would, like to think that, I would hope that, maybe Frank's lawyer would give us a little time to meet with the AD and, or AG rather, and, maybe, something could be settled when we meet, and not have to go to court. It's unfortunate that we have one day to make this decision and not having time to get a hold of the AG. But I think the AG is where to go. I think we need to get him up here and have him look for.
Yeah, what happened? The Attorney General is ultimately the chief election person in the state, and they have the ability to have an aide represent them. So certainly probably wouldn't be the Attorney General, but their aides can be anywhere from sheriffs to local attorneys that they might use for that purpose. So I mean, it probably wouldn't be very difficult for the Attorney General to get a representative here anyway with the moderator. And I guess the best we could do is just, if we were able to meet there with that representative, we just invite Frank to come to that. And that might be the best we can do at this point. And I talked to Willis Kelly. He said he'd be more than happy to meet with the Attorney General there and with Frank Benesh there. One thing I would say that's unfortunate about this and unfortunate about the way that Frank's attorney tried to characterize this. Mr. Benesh has made no attempt to contact the town moderator, Willis Kelly, since March of 2012. And this decision ultimately is the moderator's to make. It's where it really isn't even our decision to make. It's hard to see how that we can do a whole lot more than just request that the Attorney General come and go from there. Should I send this response to Peter for him to review, or should we not do that at this point? Just wait and see what.
Let us look at it and see what he thinks on that. And you might want to hold our cards close to our chest on some things, instead of put them out there.
One thing I was hoping with this document anyway would be to save Peter some time and research that he may have to do for it. So I mean, this information was compiled from the New Hampshire Bar Association's recommendations on the Attorney General's authority to rule over elections. So this isn't my own work. This is work from the New Hampshire Bar Association.
I think that's a prudent next step, is to send this on for Peter, and if he's got advice for us at this point, he's free to give it. And then I think reaching out to the Attorney General's office too, and asking if they have an assistant available to come up and actually look at the site seems prudent for our next step. Coordinate a time that the moderator can be there, selectmen, or at least one of the selectmen walk the site.
And it would be my guess that the court's going to rule on this before the March 12th election. The only thing they would be ruling on at this point would be the electioneering issue. Right. They wouldn't be ruling on any civil rights violation issues between now and then. That would be that would encompass a much larger picture. And if we're looking at a lawsuit regarding civil rights violations, the other thing too that I wanted to discuss is that we may want to ask the General Assembly during town meeting to increase our line item for attorney's fees for fiscal year 2013, because we may need more for that. Something to consider anyway. So I guess we'll just need to wait and see. Contact the AG's office and wait and see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna take the steps to contact their office, or you want one of us to?
I'll contact
Okay.
Peter tomorrow and ask him what the proper process would be for contacting the AG, and let him know that Willis Kelly is more than happy to meet there, and go from there. Under old business, board policy is still sitting there. And that's what section D is there, the right to know law is kind of, when we have a board policy, that will become part of it, I suppose. I have not heard yet from Mr. Shaw regarding the drainage matter.
No?
Job descriptions is an ongoing issue.
Well, we've got the 3 department heads, right? Those have been approved.
Yep, and we were going to develop the internal ones from there.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'll probably figure out a process to do that. I don't know that we need to do that this evening, but unless we want to
No.
discuss how.
Might have to wait till after the elections.
Yeah.
Might be prudent to do that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sorry. But when you interviewed the new person for the administrative assistant's job, that's also my title, so I don't know if my title's going to be changed or my job description's going to change, but I didn't know if that wanted to be visited at some point soon, so we can figure out who's doing what, who's on second.
Yep.
Okay.
It will be addressed. Thanks, Al. That brings us to the October 4th non-public session minutes regarding the Lewis litigation. Brought them here tonight for review. Consider unsealing. Along with those minutes was some email correspondence between myself and Peter Malia on how the mutual release was formed. So,
And those are part of the minutes?
yeah, you had requested that we had make those available for the minutes, so. I'm not sure, those might be backwards on how they're presented, but I don't.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'd seen those before, and I thought they were missing things that were dealt with at that meeting, but I was off on my date, and the things I was thinking about were actually contained in the minutes on the September 27th set. So I think everything is complete.
Which I have not yet gotten to the other party involved for the person to consider.
Oh, okay.
The reputation
All right.
aspect of it. I
Yep.
still need to do that.
The ones we didn't approve last time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those were the email exchanges between Peter and I had developed the mutual release.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Has it ever been pointed out to the Attorney General that the Whitney Center is part of school property?
In regards to that, I don't know.
It should be, and it certainly will be.
I think there's specific laws regarding electioneering, state laws on school property.
Well, you know, I thought there was too, but, and yet I have to confess, I haven't seen anything in writing, and so, and nobody's brought anything to me in writing about that. I heard at one point that the school made it clear that they weren't in favor of electioneering taking place on their property, but I haven't seen that in writing either. So, for purposes of clarification, that's what gets my attention, is when I see it in writing, as opposed to whether I'm told someone said something at some point in time. But those are good points, and there should be some due diligence done to see what there is in the form of documentation on that.
Thank you.
Did you-
He was on private property.
What's that?
He was on private property.
Jerry's question was about school property.
I know it,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the
Yeah.
incident we're talking about, he was
Right.
on private property.
Well, Mr. Benesh is asking us to allow him to electioneer wherever he wants. That, I'm assuming, means public, private, any property.
Yep.
He wasn't specific.
Private.
Yeah, I think this is, makes sense to include these in the decision. So,
Entertain a motion
that we-
then to unseal the minutes from October 4th, 2012.
Before we do that, have we approved these minutes? Do we need to do that first and then unseal them?
Sure.
Is that the, okay.
I think technically when we seal the minutes, that's actually approving them, but we can make a motion to approve the minutes from October 4th, 2012.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the non-public session from October 4th, 2012.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
And as those were initially sealed, I'll make a motion to unseal the minutes from the October 4th, 2012 non-public session, and to include the series of email communications with them.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, that concludes the scheduled business. There was some discussion back to the electioneering business. Does anyone have any more questions or comments about that issue at this point? I think that concludes our business. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ah, so second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
World record.